We loved scaring ourselves before going into the woods at night. We'd watch horror movies, read creepy stories online, then walk the trails just to see if anything would happen. Until the night something actually did. This was back in 2018, and I still can't explain what followed us home that night. Make sure to mangle the like button, because this will make sure you never go into the woods at night again. Followed through the woods. My best friend Robert would come over for sleepovers pretty regularly back then. We were both obsessed with scary stuff, cryptids, ghost stories, all of it. I'd shown him videos about crawler humanoids, and we'd joke about maybe seeing one someday. I lived about 2 minutes from the woods. We had this trail system we'd walked dozens of times, even at night. We knew every turn, every crossing. It felt safe. That night, we headed out around 10 p.m. with our flashlights. They weren't great flashlights, cheap ones that barely lit up 10 feet ahead, but we didn't think we'd need anything better. The trail looped through the woods with a few spots where paths crossed. We called them the first crossing, the second crossing, and so on. We'd sometimes stop at the crossings and stand in silence, hoping to hear something interesting. An animal walking through leaves, an owl calling, whatever. We made it to the second crossing without anything happening. Robert stopped and turned off his flashlight, doing his usual "let's listen" thing. I kept mine on, shining it around the trees. That's when he grabbed my arm. "Did you see that?" he whispered. "See what?" "At that tree, on the left." I swung my light toward where he was pointing. At first I didn't see anything, then I caught it, just for a second, a pale shape ducking behind a tree trunk. "Probably just a deer," I said, but my voice didn't sound convincing, even to me. We kept walking. The path curved through the woods toward the third crossing, then looped back toward the exit. The whole walk usually took about 30 minutes. We were maybe halfway to the third crossing when I saw it again. This time it was ahead of us, off to the right side of the trail. A pale figure standing behind a tree, peeking out at us. I stopped walking. Robert stopped too. "You see it?" I asked. "Yeah." We stood there for a few seconds, just staring. Then the thing shifted to the other side of the tree like it was playing a game with us, peeking out from the left side, then moving to the right. It knew we'd spotted it. "Let's go," Robert said, his voice shaking a little. We started walking faster. Not running, not yet, but definitely moving with purpose. We didn't talk. We just kept our lights pointed forward and tried not to think about what was behind us. When we finally reached the exit of the woods and stepped out onto the street near my house, I felt this huge wave of relief wash over me. But then Robert grabbed my arm again and pointed back toward the tree line. There it was, standing at the edge of the woods, just standing there, watching us. It was tall, maybe 6 feet. Its body was pale, somewhere between white and gray, completely hairless. Its head was bald, and its arms hung down longer than they should have, almost reaching its knees. It didn't move, it just stood there, staring at us with these dark, hollow eyes. "Go," I said. We backed away slowly, keeping our eyes on it, then turned and ran the rest of the way to my house. We didn't look back. When we got inside, we locked the door and stood at the window, looking out toward the woods. We couldn't see it anymore, but I could still feel it out there. We sat up the rest of the night with all the lights on, too scared to sleep. Here's what really bothers me about that night. That thing either followed us silently for half an hour through the woods, staying out of sight until we spotted it at the second crossing, or it was smart enough to figure out where our trail would lead and beat us to the exit. Either way, it knew we'd seen it, and when we started shining our lights at different sides of the tree, it responded, like it was testing us, confirming that we could actually see it. And here's the scariest part. I don't think it was afraid of us at all. Even when we started talking louder, clearly stressed out, it just calmly walked away at the exit. No rush, no panic. Like it was in complete control the entire time. I did some research afterward and found stories of pale crawler humanoids, creatures that stalk people through the woods, watch them from trees, and seem to possess an unnerving level of intelligence. That's exactly what followed us. If you live near the woods and you like to walk trails at night, be careful. And if you see something pale and human-shaped watching you from the trees, don't assume it's just going to leave you alone, because it might decide to follow you home. The flashlight beam swept across the trail ahead, and that's when my friend gasped. I swung the light forward, and there it was, crouched at the edge of the path, staring right at us. This happened a few days before Halloween in 2017 around Lake Camelot in Illinois. What we saw that night still doesn't make sense. The trail at Lake Camelot. Me and a couple of friends used to walk this trail all the time. It wasn't anything official, more like a game trail we'd worn into the woods by taking the same route over and over. We knew every turn, every tree. It was our spot. That night, it was about 10 p.m. I had the only flashlight, and I was shining it off to the left into the woods, not really paying attention to the path ahead. We never saw anything weird out there, so I wasn't expecting anything. Then one of my friends made this sharp inhaling sound, like he'd just seen something that made his brain stop working. I looked at him. He was frozen, staring straight ahead down the trail. I turned the flashlight where he was looking. Something was crouched there, right on the edge of the path, about 20 feet ahead of us. My first thought was that it was a person, someone messing with us, maybe. But the proportions were wrong. The way it sat didn't look human at all. It was gray, completely gray, like concrete or ash. Its skin had no texture that I could see, just this smooth, dull surface that seemed to absorb the light rather than reflect it. The thing was small, maybe 4 or 5 feet tall if it stood up, but it was hunched down in a crouch, so it only came up to about 2 feet off the ground. And the way it crouched, it reminded me of a frog. Its legs bent at weird angles, and I couldn't see its feet, but I could tell they weren't pointing forward like human feet would. Its arms were human-like, but more defined, almost muscular. 5 fingers on each hand, resting on the ground in front of it. But the head, God, the head was the worst part. It was shaped like an upside-down trapezoid, square at the top, tapering down toward what should have been a chin. There were 2 points sticking out from the sides. Maybe ears, maybe something else. I don't know. And its eyes. They were completely black. No whites, no pupils, just 2 black voids staring at us. I don't think it had a mouth. Or if it did, I couldn't see one. The whole face was just smooth gray skin and those horrible black eyes. None of us said a word. We just stood there, frozen, staring at it. And it stared right back. It didn't move, didn't make a sound. It was completely still, like a statue, but I could tell it was alive. I could feel it watching us, taking us in, deciding what to do. Then, without saying anything, we all just turned and ran. I don't know who started running first, maybe all of us at the same time. But we bolted back the way we came, stumbling over roots and rocks in the dark. After about 20 feet, I looked back. The thing was gone. I swept the flashlight across the trail, into the trees, everywhere. Nothing. It had just vanished. We didn't stop running until we got back to the car. When we finally caught our breath, we started comparing what we'd seen. My friends said the creature was completely hairless. I thought it might have had short hair, but looking back, I think they were right. It was bald. And then I remembered something. Earlier on the walk, maybe 10 or 15 minutes before we saw it, we'd heard these weird squeaking noises in the woods. At the time, we figured it was baby owls or something, but when I looked up owl calls later, they didn't match. I think those sounds came from that thing. I've spent years trying to figure out what we saw. I've searched online, read reports, looked at pictures of every known animal in Illinois. Nothing comes close. Some people have told me it sounds like a pale crawler, a cryptid that's been reported all over North America. Gray or pale skin, long limbs, crouched posture, completely silent. The descriptions match. But here's what gets me. It didn't attack. It didn't chase us. It just sat there and watched, like it was curious, or maybe like it was deciding whether we were a threat. I don't go on that trail anymore, and I definitely don't go into the woods at night. If you're ever hiking after dark and you see something crouched on the path ahead of you, don't try to figure out what it is, just turn around and leave. I was skateboarding in my driveway when I heard noises coming from behind the shed. At first, I thought it was the neighbor's cats, but when I went to check, I found something that still gives me nightmares. This was in July 2019 at my house in California, and what I saw changed the way I look at my own backyard. The thing in my backyard. It was early evening, still light out but starting to fade. I'd been skating for about an hour when I heard these rustling sounds coming from the back of my property near the shed. My backyard is pretty big. We have a decent-sized lawn, some trees along the fence line, and a storage shed in the back corner. I keep my skateboard and bike stuff in there. The noise sounded like something moving around, maybe knocking things over. My first thought was that one of the neighbor's cats had gotten into something. They're always wandering into our yard. I walked over to check it out. As I got closer to the shed, I could hear the sounds more clearly. Rustling, scraping, like something was either eating or digging through something on the ground. I came around the corner of the shed, and that's when I saw it. There was I don't even know what to call it, a creature, a thing, standing there on the ground behind the shed, hunched over, looking down at something. It was tall, probably 6 feet, maybe more, and painfully thin. Its skin was pale, almost white, with no hair anywhere on its body. It was completely naked, but there were no private parts, just smooth, pale skin. Its arms were long and thin, almost like a T-Rex's arms, but skinnier, hanging down in front of it at an awkward angle. I couldn't see its hands clearly, but they looked off. Too long, maybe. And then it looked at me. Its head turned slowly, and I saw its face. Gray eyes, no expression, just blank, staring. I froze. I didn't scream. I didn't yell. I just stood there, locked in place, while this thing looked at me. We probably stared at each other for 5, maybe 10 seconds. It felt like an hour. Then I moved. I don't know what broke the spell, but suddenly my legs were working again. I turned and sprinted back toward the house, faster than I've ever run in my life. I didn't look back. I just ran. When I got inside, I slammed the door and locked it. My heart was pounding so hard I thought I was going to pass out. My older brother was in the living room. I tried to explain what I'd just seen, but I was talking so fast the words weren't making sense. He said I was probably just tired, that I'd imagined it or mistaken a deer or something. But I know what I saw. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about those gray eyes staring at me, the way it just stood there, calm and unafraid, like I was the intruder, not it. Next morning, I went back out to check the area behind the shed. I don't know what I expected to find. Tracks, maybe, or some sign that it had been there. But there was nothing. Just dirt and leaves. But here's the thing. After that day, I started noticing other weird stuff. My dog would bark at the back fence at night, staring at the same spot for minutes at a time. He never did that before, and sometimes, late at night, I'd hear noises in the backyard again, rustling, scraping, like something was moving around out there. I told a few friends about what I saw. Most of them didn't believe me, or they made jokes about it, but one of them showed me pictures online of something called a pale crawler, a cryptid that's been reported all over the US. The pictures looked almost exactly like what I saw. Tall, thin, pale, hairless, long arms, blank expression, gray or black eyes. Some reports even said they're seen in suburban areas, not just deep in the woods. I started reading more stories. People seeing them in their yards, looking through windows, standing at tree lines, just watching. And here's what scares me the most. In almost every story, the thing doesn't attack. It doesn't chase. It just stands there, watching, like it's studying you. That's what mine did. It looked at me like it was trying to figure out what I was, not like it was scared, not like it wanted to hurt me. Just curious. I don't skate in my driveway anymore. I definitely don't go into the backyard after dark. And I always make sure all the doors and windows are locked at night. Because I don't know if it's still out there, and I don't know if it's still watching. If you ever see something pale and thin lurking around your property, don't go check it out. Don't try to figure out what it is. Just get inside, lock the doors, and whatever you do, don't make eye contact. Because once it knows you've seen it, it might decide to come back.